Hi everyone, this is Jim. Welcome to this postmortem of my Blitz game number 522. I had the black pieces. My opponent played e4, and I went with c5, the Sicilian defense. And now he plays d4, which introduces the Smith-Morra Gambit. So you can go ahead and take this pawn. You're not really accepting the Gambit just yet. You'll have an opportunity later to decide whether to accept or decline. And, well, there's this interesting continuation. Queen takes d4, which has been growing more popular lately. But c3 is the idea of the Smith-Morra Gambit. And you can take it. I play that in the game and get get in trouble, but it is okay to take it. But it leads to some tricky positions and sometimes hard to refute over the board. So I went with this. Normally I go with knight f6 here. This is the third choice here in the opening book, but this is a convenient way to play it. You're immediately attacking the pawn. He pushes forward to try from an advantage. And then, well, knight f3 or c takes d4 or queen takes d4. Different moves can be played here. But this is a position from the Alpine Sicilian. We've actually transposed into a line of a normal Sicilian, the c3 Sicilian. So one line can be learned, and it deals with both the Smith-Morra Gambit and the Alpine Sicilian. So it's just a convenient way to play in over-the-board chess. But, well, for a blitz game, it's sometimes fun to accept the gambit and see how it goes. So he takes back, and this is the idea. He gets quick development and open lines. Look at both of his bishops have lots of squares to choose from, and my position is still somewhat closed. So getting a piece out, this is all fine, knight f3. And you see, just from the engine point of view, that white has full compensation for the pawn. So really, it's quite a dangerous gambit. When the engine gives you full compensation, you know there's tricky stuff going on. Okay, d6 to open up a line for my bishop and prepare e6 and e5, which is what I'll play in the game. He goes bishop c4. I go e6 here, blunting the bishop. You know, there's this idea of knight to g4 coordinating on f7, so you slow that down. He castled, and it went bishop e7, so these are all normal moves. Queen e2, preparing rook to d1, and it looks like knight f6 is a playable move here. I have gotten into trouble when playing this move, so I've gone with this a6 move here. The idea is to secure the b4 square so the queen can safely come out to c7 in some lines, and keeps the bishop from pinning the knight. So also the knight here coordinates with an attack on the d pawn in some cases. So you're just taking control of that b5 square. Okay, he goes rook d1, pinning the d pawn. So that's an important point. And let's see, I played e5 immediately. I think it's more accurate. And probably the line I was thinking of is first you play bishop d7, which is nice because it breaks that pin. And then when he develops his bishop to f4, then you play e5, and it comes with the tempo. And black is doing okay in these lines. So that's probably the line I was thinking of. I played e5 immediately. And also, after you get in the move e5, you now can play this knight f6 move without having to worry about white pushing the pawn to e5. So at this point, we're out of the opening book. Since I've taken away the f4 square from the bishop develops to e3, which is okay. Maybe a little more accurate here would be to go knight to g5 already, or bishop to d5. So these are a couple ideas here for white in this position to try and get the most activity for his pawn. But bishop e3 is not a bad move either. So the thing about the Smith-Morra from white's point of view is a lot of these moves are just natural developing moves, but you always have to be alert and strike when those tactical moments occur. So knight f6, we still have basically an even position. h3, keeping me out of the g4 square. I castle, and he goes rook a c1. So all of this is fine. The move I play here, bishop e6, is probably not the best move. Well, for a moment the engine likes it, but after a while I think it prefers bishop d7. Maybe a more natural square for the bishop. Kind of wanted to counter the pressure of this bishop. He takes, and this leaves me with a weak pawn here, which he immediately targets with queen c4. But it turns out this is okay. I can defend the pawn. I start with queen d7, and then he plays knight g5. Now all this time I've been keeping my knight on c6, defending the e-pawn, because there's this pin on the d-file, so this e-pawn is basically loose here. But, well, he's taken the pressure off. When he moved his knight from f3 to g5 to attack the e6 pawn, he took the pressure off the e5 pawn. So I can meet this by just dropping my knight back to d8, and it looks like this is a okay position for me. I no longer need to defend that pawn. I can defend this pawn with the knight. I decide instead, I think I didn't really notice that, but or maybe I just didn't like this kind of passive setup with the knight back on d8. I decide instead to allow him to get the pawn back and try and go for some counterplay. Now I noticed when his knight comes here to e6, it's hitting my rook. So I said, well, I'll put my rook over here on the c-file and threaten his queen. And now he can get a decent position by just sort of cashing out. He gets his pawn back. He didn't play this, but this would be the best continuation for white. And then in this position, well, let's see, I could try and chase his knight away with king f7, or I could just maybe knight d8 now to chase that guy away. Makes some sense. And we get this kind of position. The material's even and white is better. I mean, I've kind of given up some by giving the pawn back and not getting much in exchange for it. You know, he's just got the more active pieces. So that would be good for white. But no immediate breakthrough. I mean, the game would continue. It's not like it's winning. Instead, he took with the knight, which is interesting because it sets up this discovered attack on the king. But it looks like I have a good answer here with pawn to b5. Hit the queen with pawn to b5. Queen drops back because it wants to stay in touch with the knight. Otherwise, I'm just going to take it. And then knight to a5, attacking the queen. Now the queen can play queen to b4, counterattacking my knight. But if he plays that, then I have this move d5, which is interesting. And oh, it's not here. What's the move here? Knight to c4 first. Okay, getting away from the attack of the queen, and his knight is still hanging. Let's see. He could retreat the knight here. Knight back to g5. That's probably the best move. Is there anything else he could try here? Now let's say knight g5. That appears to be the best move. Then I have the move d5 with a tempo on the queen, and I could push on with d4. So this would be interesting. This turns the tables and gives black an active position, although the material is even. So that would be the best way to play it after knight takes e6, counterattacking the queen, getting this knight to a safe square, and then pushing on with d5. Instead, I got away from the discovered attack with king h8, which is still playable here, but it's getting a little bit dicey. And after knight g5, let's see, that's not his best. What's his best move? But it sets up a tactic. Okay, his best move is queen to b3, getting out of the way of my rook here. So yeah, I didn't spot the tactic that ends the game right here. If I had spotted it, I could have just kicked his knight with h6. Yeah, I didn't like that. It looked like he could at least go into a perpetual check there or something. But that's actually the only move to save it. Anyway, the move that I played, knight d4, allows a mate in 3 or 4, so that's definitely losing. But I don't know. Yeah, it seems like it's the right idea to counterattack the queen. The problem is that this f7 square is not protected. So if I were to play a move like rook back to f8, yeah, well, I would have to give up the exchange then. Yeah, okay, so this is a very tricky position. h6 apparently is the only move. And then if he goes for knight f7 check, then I can run with my king to h7 and play on from there. Other moves are much worse, but well, this ends the game the quickest, knight to d4. And then we get this very typical smothered mate or Philidor's mate. It's a nice one. The check happens here, and notice it doesn't even matter that his queen is under attack because he's checking with the knight. It's only one legal move. And now after knight h6 check, it's a double check. So once again, it doesn't matter that both his queen and his knight are hanging. I still have to move my king. If I go to f8, I get mated immediately, and if I go back to h8, then we get the smothered mate pattern with the queen here. Check, forcing rook takes, and then cancel that. Let's see. Oh, he took with the... Oh, I took with the knight. Yeah, doesn't matter how I take. And then he comes in here with the knight. So the fact that the f7 square is unguarded allows this mate to take place. So anyway, that's how the game ended. But just to back up to this position here, before I played the move knight d4. So I should really be aware of the smothered mate tactic in this position. I was still thinking I could do okay by unleashing an attack against his queen. But, well, the first check comes with the knight, and the second check is a double check, so the fact that the queen's under attack doesn't help. How about the move knight to d8 here? Guarding the f7 square. Okay, that looks like this white's better, but this would allow the game to continue. So, yeah, if I had spotted the threat, that's probably what I would have played, because knight d8 covers that f7 square. And then he just drops back to b3, and then I'm just in an awkward position, having difficulty untangling, but probably the game would go on. Anyway, so I went knight d4, and we went into this nice sequence here, and that's how the game ended. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave any comments you have in the section below, and I will see you again soon. Bye.